Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of TotemCast. My name is Lucario, and today I'm going to be going over, well, I guess the entirety and the results of the Season 7 Dungeon Tournament. So, in case you don't know, every so often, we usually do this, like, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times a year. I would like to do it every 6 months on a rotation, just so it's not like the prime focus of what our community is, because we are, in fact, a raiding community at level 30 for Legacy 30. That being said, it is kind of nice to do little tournaments like this every so often. It's a nice little fun thing for the community to do. Now, with that being said, what is the tournament? Well, we don't have an official name for it. We just call it Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, whatever. It's Season 7 Dungeon Tournament. Starship used to call it Race to World Worst, which is funny because it's a good title. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's actually a really good title. And maybe we might adopt it in some form. I don't know. I don't want to exactly take the name of it because it's not our property, but like something similar to it, I guess. So basically what it is you get teams of 2, teams of 3. The first tournament had teams of 5 because it was just 5-man groups for the entire thing. And like the history when it comes to this whole thing is they have never been historically popular. I don't really know how we would ever make them popular. I know like a lot of tryhards would sit there and tell us what we need to do, but like that's not... If offering 3 million gold as a prize and Blizzard sponsored gifts is not an initiative to form a team, nothing is really going to change that. So like it is what it is, but that's okay because like I said, this is just like a little community thing that we'll do once in a while. It's not really a big deal. Again, we are a raiding community. We have always been a raiding community. We started off as a Herald of the Titans raiding community. Should not have to specify this so much, but I had to do that today, which is kind of, you know, it's kind of funny, kind of sad, kind of annoying, but it is what it is. So once you get your team, depending on like what we're going to do, so like 3 people is usually the average of what we do, or groups of 2, which this tournament we had groups of 2. We pick 4 dungeons. It's usually about 4 dungeons. And, you know, this is community voted on, so people who are interested in participating, they get to run a poll on it, and they get to pick what they want, and the poll will go on for like a week or so or whatever. And then we'll pick out the dungeons. The last one's always heroic. It has been heroic every single time, except for like, I think Season 6, but that was because Starship is involved, and, you know, for streaming purposes, you can't really do a heroic run for that. But it's okay. Like, it's okay. It's not really a big deal. So, with that, I mean, it's always great if we have more teams, but, I mean, realistically, it is what it is. Like, we're never going to get more teams. Like, even when Starship did this, they had less teams than we had when we ran our tournament, so... but we make some rules. You know, I covered the rules in one of the previous episodes. Nothing too complicated. Mostly the rules are just meant to make everything as non-cheesable as possible. Like, we want people to have fun, but not try to, like, cheat or do any kind of, like, malicious activity. Because, you know, there's always somebody who wants to do that. Because people can't just have a fun little tournament. They have to cut corners in any possible way that they can to save 3 seconds. Now, this is the kind of mentality that literally ruined WoW Classic for so many people, myself included. We all know how easy Classic WoW is. When I went to go play Classic WoW, I had a good time. But people just took it way too serious when it did not need to be taken serious. Same thing with this tournament. You run 3 normal dungeons and 1 heroic. And in the gracious of my good heart, I decided to let us have the tournament go on for 2 weeks. So for that 2 weeks, you had plenty of time to run the dungeons as much as you want, practice, like set up your pathing, your strategies, whatever you wanted to do. And you know, in all fairness, credit where credit is due, timewalking, the EU side, they put a lot of effort into doing that. And I will say this, like, EU is pretty garbage when it comes to rating because they just don't know anything about the rating bracket itself. And, you know, they could probably they will try to dispute me on this, but at the end of the day, I'm not wrong because, like, I've seen how they play. They literally have no idea what they're doing. If you have to class stack a bunch of the same thing just to do the same thing that we can do with rogues and druids and whatever, then you're not playing this effectively. Like, you don't seem to understand exactly what the bracket is, and that's okay because 30s is a very niche bracket, and it's in itself. Again, this is a Herald of the Titans bracket. People really need to remember that. Like, this is, at the end of the day, no matter what Legacy 30 does or what anybody else does with the bracket, the entire bracket only exists for Herald of the Titans. I have crafted it to become something much more than that. But, most people are only going to look at it for what it is, and that is a Herald of the Titans ordeal. So, anyways, we had a list of banned items, and this is where things became very complicated and frustrating because, everybody submitted their times, everybody submitted a screenshot of their runs, their YouTube videos. I had a shit ton of videos. I haven't even got to sort through them all because I recorded every little thing we did. I have a whole bunch of them on my computer. We had Warcraft logs to help verify. There was a lot of protests with the Warcraft logs and the videos because people just didn't understand why we had to have this stuff, and I'm going to kind of explain that today, why that was, that ended up being important and becoming a factor in all of this. So people have a tendency to cheat, cut corners, whatever. I'm not calling anybody a cheater, but this is just what it is. Like, it's exactly what it ended up being. And, I tried to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I am on record doing this because, when I was in call, it was just me and my friend Fate, one of my officers, and we were going over all the Warcraft logs. We were watching every one of the videos, just studying everything, making sure everything was perfectly fine. It was really cool seeing how people did their strategies. I'm not going to lie. Like, it was very interesting to see what they did. It was very funny noticing that every single team had a Windwalker, Windwalker monk. That was not intentional on my end. I main a monk named Lucario. Obviously, it's literally my brand on here. And I use Lucario for every one of my tournaments. So, seeing everybody else play Windwalker, it was just very funny to me. Because I was like, oh, I guess that's the meta, huh? It's not like I played it for the meta. I played it because I like monk. Like, NA doesn't care about the meta. That is strictly an EU thing, and EU doesn't really seem to understand how to have fun. And, this kind of proves that entire point. And I just want to specify, this is not me shitting on anybody. It's just more of like, how did you let this happen? You guys are supposed to be smarter than this, I don't know. I'm not trying to attack anybody. I'm just kind of like, I'm more dumbfounded than anything because I honestly can't believe that somebody actually did what they did. So, we spent 3 hours going over logs, going over videos, and then towards the end of it, Fate noticed that, hey, they popped drums. And I was like, hold on. So I went back and looked at the rules, and I was like, okay, so I didn't have anything under the rules for drums. However, drums were included under the banned item list. So anybody that uses any banned items or breaks any of the rules, they're instantly disqualified. So on that, I noticed that one of the timewalking teams, I'm not going to say anybody's names, but one of the timewalking teams used drums every single run. So they're instantly disqualified. So that being said, you should theoretically be out of the tournament, but I'm nice and I wanted them to still be a part of it. So yeah, their team came in dead last because of that. So they shouldn't deserve anything, but I'd still like to give them 10,000 gold just for participating as a thank you. And, hopefully you do better next time. Like, they should have honestly came in first or second place. Like, their teams are really good. I'm not going to lie or sugarcoat it. And it turns out the other time walking team used drums, I think, 2 out of 4 times or 3 out of 4 times. They didn't do it for every single one, so, most of the runs were, void. It does suck, and I do understand how much work they put into it. But there is an integrity level that I, as an owner, as a GM, as a community leader, I have to uphold. It does not matter if it was my team that did it. It does not matter if it was an EU team that did it. It does not matter if my friend's team did it. If you violate my rules in any way, your team is out. You don't win. That's just how it is. And there seems to be a big misunderstanding on that because they literally thought that we did this as a way to gimp them to give NA a W. Which is not true, because if that was the case, I wouldn't have allowed them to participate in the first place. So, okay, I'm just gonna say, like, you cheated. Like, it's not a big deal. I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt that it wasn't even a malicious action. Everyone else agreed that it was a malicious action. I was just like, well, maybe they just didn't understand the rules. Because drums are drums. And here's the thing, I didn't even know that there were other kinds of drums outside of the war drums or whatever they're called for the bloodlust. I wasn't aware there were other drums because I don't do professions, and we literally never use these things. So, but that doesn't matter though, because it's still under the banned item list drums. It just says drums. That means any kind of drum. So like I've made this example like 10 times tonight. But if somebody's going to buy me a car and I say, don't give me a Honda, and then they pick me out a Honda Civic, that's still a Honda. It doesn't matter like how you twist it or what the branding is or what kind of Honda it is. I still said no Honda, but you still bring me a Honda Civic. So like, you still didn't do what you were supposed to do. And that's what I don't understand, is because you guys are so smart, but you still went out of your way to do something that violates the rules. And now one of them did ask about, does this mean bloodlust drums? And I said, yeah, no bloodlust drums. But they never brought up the fact that there were other drums. Now, maybe they didn't know that I didn't know that, but regardless, it's still a banned item. It's still a banned restriction. No drums at all. I don't even know why this is even up for debate. This is so fucking obvious, so clear as day what it means. And this isn't even the worst part, because there was another group of people on NA who, I mean, this is the EU side that did this one. But there was a group on NA, and I had to actually ban one of them, and the other two left because they were just so appalled, so upset with what I did. Because these people will sit here and try to find every little chink and crack in the armor to get away with exploits, or get away with something that they're not supposed to use. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, this is a 30s dungeon tournament. Like, this isn't serious. This is for fun. And when it comes to EU, they don't really seem to understand what fun is. They think that they have to be the biggest tryhards, but nobody cares. That's the thing. And I don't understand how they're not aware of this, but it's so blatantly obvious that nobody honestly gives a shit how much of a tryhard you are. This isn't the time walking community. This is fucking Legacy 30, bitch. This is the 30s bracket for fucking raiding Herald of the Titans. We don't care. We don't honestly care. Like, it makes no fucking sense to me. I'm sorry for the language. It's just, I'm just so dumbfounded right now that you honestly think that we care how hard and sweaty you play. Because one of them wanted to throw it in my face that we're a bunch of tryhards. Oh, we always claim for the world first on everything we do. Well, yeah, but it's because nobody else has ever done it at the level. Obviously, it's a world first. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, the only time that we on NA have ever been competitive in any fucking format, any honest format, was when we were racing the Russian community for world first on 25 Heroic Halion. That was the only time. And they also, one of them wanted to throw into my face that I challenged them, I guess, or whatever, when I said that it can't be possible to four-man a raid boss from Sunwell, or the Sunwell Plateau. And I said that because technically I'm not wrong, but I am wrong because they actually showed that you can do it. But, you know, that's, again, we're not sweaty tryhard. So for somebody on our side to get like a 4 or 3-man group, obviously we're not going to be able to do it because we don't play like that. When somebody joins our community, they ask, what do we need? I say, play whatever you want. Have fun. Make your character however you want. Just the point is to have fun. If you want to come in with the dumbest armor set, if you want to come in with, you know, gear that's not BIS, that's fine. It's not a problem for us. We have never, outside of a few instances, been upset about that. I mean, all of this is really the same guy complaining, to be honest, but I'm not going to make him famous, but he's already kind of famous in his own right on the Discord for what he did. But he also got mad and said that I was upset with how they did their ICC run, which again, I don't give a shit. I really don't care what they did. My entire argument against what they do is the fact that they like to class stack, and they can do whatever they want. It's their sub. I don't care. But I just have an issue with class stacking because I'm just like, it's not fun. It's not interesting. It's boring. Like, it's not fun to have a bunch of the same thing. If everyone has to pick the top damaging class to bring for a raid, it's just not fun. Where's your individuality? Where's the freedom? Where's the fun? Where's the excitement? Like, I want to see a rogue in there do some damage, you know? That's our entire philosophy. You know, bring the player, not the meta. That's what Legacy 30, that's the foundation of what we were built on, and this is what people have always been like. It's just some sweaty tryhards don't seem to understand that, and, you know, it's fine. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is very stupid that you're not paying attention to this. Because I told the guy, like, how is it you've been here for a year and a half and you haven't figured this out yet? You're really sitting here acting like we're sweaty tryhards when we're not, because we have never broadcast or pretended to be as such. I mean, if you watch any one of the videos I've uploaded on Legacy 30, it's goofy. We're just cracking jokes the whole time. Like, nobody cares. Like, I don't understand the mentality. I don't know. But the point is, NA won on a technicality because EU kind of fumbled the bag. I mean, it happens. Big deal. If they want to still receive their prize money, they can. I'm not going to, like, withhold it from them or anything for them being rude. You know, I'm typically not really a rude person in the community. I try to be as fair to everybody as I can. I'm very polite to everybody. I respect everybody. You know, that's just the kind of GM I am. That's just how I've been. But this is just one of those instances where it's like, you guys are just such sore losers. And in all fairness, only one team was like this, and it was just one guy on that team that was like this. But you guys are just such sore losers. But they were calling us sore losers, which makes no sense because technically we won. And even if we didn't win, we don't care because it's just fun for us, you know? At the end of the day, I'm not competing against Timewalking. I'm competing against my friend Fate and on his team. Like, I don't care who comes in first place. I just want to beat Fate. Like, that's where my mind is on it. Again, this is no secret. Like, we literally talk like this every single day. We post about this stuff constantly. This is a well-known thing. We talk about it in videos. Like, I mean, I don't understand where the confusion comes from, but I don't know. Maybe it's just a bad education system in EU. I don't really know. Maybe they're just, like, maybe I don't mean to be rude or mean, but maybe they're just autistic. Maybe they're stupid. Maybe they're just so egotistical that they can't understand basic constructs, which is where I put my money on. You know, pride is the fall of man. It is literally the one of the 7 deadly sins you can never beat or overcome is pride. And it's because it's the most blinding thing. People will never accept an L. People can't figure out when they're in the wrong when they're clearly in the wrong. Even when they know that they're in the wrong. Like, you know, like you do something bad, but you don't want to own up to it. Or you thought you can get away with something and you got caught. And that was kind of why I'm glad that we did what we did for this tournament, to make it as transparent as possible. And this also just kind of tells me that maybe they cheated in other ones. Like, there's no way of knowing. Now I got accused of calling them liars and cheaters today. I never did. I never said that at all. I'm saying it right now because, you know, for the sake of, you know, making the episode and just discussing it. You know, you did cheat. You cheated. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's fine. It just makes me question your character more than anything, because, like, you very clearly knew what you were doing. You knew what was banned. You knew what was suggested, but you try to find a way around it. Instead of just following the rules like everyone else, instead of just doing what you and it's the thing, you could have still won. Like, the stupid drums only give, like, a small amount of attack power. Like, they were still gonna win either way. So why wouldn't you just did it without the drums? You didn't even need to use the drums, and you were still gonna win. It doesn't make sense, man. It really doesn't. It's just so stupid. That's why I'm laughing whenever one of them was calling me stupid today, because I'm like, sir, you were going to win, and you still had to just push it. For whatever reason, you couldn't just leave well enough alone and just do what you were already gonna do to win. To secure your victory, you still went out of your way to make sure you lost. I don't understand how you fumble it that bad. It does not make sense to me at all. I've been laughing about it all day because I can't wrap my head around it, man. I really can't. And I'm sorry if this comes across as, like, toxic or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to come across like that. It's just, I'm just so dumbfounded by the mentality here. Because the same person who's calling me stupid was literally stupid. Like, you spent all of this time practicing. You knew what the rules and restrictions were. You knew what was banned, and you still fucking fumbled it. For, like, a few attack power point. It, like... Jesus Christ, man. It's like, you know, steroid shots are illegal in the Olympics. You can't do it because you'll be disqualified, but you still take the shot anyways, and then you get mad when you got found out. Like, it doesn't... You can only blame yourself. At the end of the day, you can only sit back and realize, like, damn, I made a mistake. I will do better next time, instead of blaming everyone else for your shortcoming. it is what it is. I mean, there will always be another tournament, obviously. You know, the bare minimum we even need to have this thing happen is just 2 teams. And, you know, if there's just 2 teams, that's fine. We don't care. Because I know I'll be on the opposite team of the person I want to actually challenge. So, like, it's not anything that's going to, like, upset me or anything. Like, you know, this doesn't bother anybody. No one's really upset by this. The only people that are upset by this are the actual tryhards. And again, this is a raiding community. Most people don't honestly give a shit about dungeons. So everyone's here for Herald of the Titans and raiding on Saturday nights. It's the dungeon thing is like a second banana. Like, nobody cares. Nobody's hungry for bananas. So it's just like, hopefully anybody that's listening to this understands what I'm saying. And like, if you agree with me, that's great. If you don't, I honestly don't know how you couldn't agree with me on this, because it's just so blatantly obvious. But it is what it is. The details are posted on our announcement page. One of my friends actually said that this is pretty much a public execution on their character, which I didn't want to look at it that way, but I mean, honestly, they're not wrong, because it is. Like, you fumbled so bad that you got beat by my team, and my team barely practiced. My team didn't really practice for much of anything. We didn't have time to. And you still lost to us because you got, like, you know the story of Icarus, you flew too close to the sun on wax wings. You got too carried away with whether you should, and you didn't think about whether you know, or whether you could, but you didn't stop to realize, like, maybe you shouldn't, or whatever, however the phrase goes. But you understand what I'm saying, I hope. It's just one of those things where it's like, why would you do this to yourself? Like, you lost to me, man. You lost to me. You're just so egotistical, so blindsided that you just fumbled it that bad. I don't know. I digress. Anyways, who cares? There's always Season 8, and apart from Goru, I wasn't going to say any names, but you know what I mean. Apart from him, if they want to participate again, that's fine. I mean, I welcome it. Again, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to hold any grudges on it. I think you're dumb now. I think you're very foolish. But, you know, this is why you shouldn't try to do this kind of stuff. You should just follow the rules the way everyone else is. Like, don't try to do something that you know is probably going to be a questionable motive. Like, you know. But, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, I can't play for other people. So on that note, I'm going to end this one. So yeah, that was our Season 7 tournament. Lucky number 7. NA secured the, you know, the solid W for this. So good job, Wowza Dipshits, which is going to be consisting of Fate and AOC. You guys were definitely going to be in 3rd place, but, you know, due to carelessness, you guys are now 1st place. So congratulations, Fate, you finally won. It took you 4 years, but you finally won. No dig on him, of course. I love Fate. But, alright, thank you guys very much. If you enjoyed this episode of TotemCast, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see everybody in the next one. Goodbye.